The rise of the September Suns. Gold Coast make history in a fairy tale final, and coach Damien Hardwick is with us.
The Hawks are heading back to Adelaide, the theatre of last year's semi-final heartbreak, and Sam Mitchell is at the desk.
And football legend Leigh Matthews is here as Queensland prepares for its most significant night yet.
We've talked about is to step into it, embrace all of it.
Get in the room and fix it.
It's unedifying for a senior coach to do that.
They're on the side of caution with the brain. Take the man off.
They played the best footy I've ever seen at the start of the season. And if you'd said Brisbane lift the cup, I would have said, of course they do.
It's the stuff that legends are made of.
What is holding the ball? I don't think I could answer it clearly right now.
I could do something wrong, and I need to go, and the board sacks me.
The fans love it, and with no fans, no 360, right?
Thrilling eliminators, statement performances, and 3 road wins. Guys, that was great.
Exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
Just turbocharge this finals campaign. 4 fantastic games, storylines everywhere. 2 great coaches coming here tonight, and the ultimate coach as well. It's going to be awesome.
So this hour has to do justice to the footy that was played. So we've got up to 17 premierships.
Between us.
The 2 coaches that you'd most like to hear from, Damien Hardwick and Sam Mitchell. And our long-held desire to have Leigh Matthews here at the desk is about to be fulfilled. It's like bringing the mega powers together, the 2 best opinions in the game sitting together to dissect all that transpired.
I was thinking, who's the other one?
And then
me.
on the couch, Jack, Geordie, Nathan and Jonathan to take us through what transpired to their eye in week 1 of the finals. Now, my last dollar was on an outright leader in the GVPs. And I'm so excited to say we have an outright leader in the GVPs, the Mustang GT Fastback, valued at $93,000. Iconic design, unreal performance, 5-litre V8 engine. It is up for grabs in this final series. And the movement, honestly, these votes should be worth double the
They
footy.
should be, and there were some heroics throughout this first final series that deserved double votes, so unlucky players everywhere, but it can only be 3, Gerard. That's the way we roll. John Newcombe was unbelievable in the game that we watched up at the Giants Ingy Stadium. Just thought his first half just put a stamp on it. It's everything you wanted from a finals performer. The man that's coming in here, I watched the Hawthorn team through my childhood, and the number 3 was a legend. And to watch the number 3 go about it in the final series, had a familiar look about it, and he was unbelievable. So, fantastic performance from him. Matthew Rowell, 2 votes. Matty Rowell. Started watching this in the airline lounge and no sound, and I was just marvelling at his brute strength and the sort of thing that I've loved about him all year. And look, Caleb Strong was superb, Brayshaw was superb, Noah Anderson was superb, but he just catches me eye. I just love the way he plays. I love the way he tries, which is a pretty simplistic way to put about it, but he was absolutely brilliant.
Did his mum get 3 votes?
She can drive the Mustang if he wins it. And then I thought Darcy Moore was as significant as anyone to the victory of their sides. Of the 4 wins, seems like a month ago this game, but he had a couple of little shaky moments, but this is Darcy Moore at his best. We'll talk about how and why in a moment, but I just thought he stopped Adelaide, just stopped them in their tracks, and it was an unbelievable performance. 13 possessions, 13 intercept possessions, all of them.
It was great.
It was awesome.
All right, so here's what we've got.
Ooh. Still
Matty
8.
Rowell, 11 votes.
There's still time.
That's
for
great.
1 or 2. But, yeah, no, I loved it. I love the way he played, Gerard. It was unbelievable.
All right, let's get to it. The agenda is steeped in the events of 4 spectacular finals, each distinct in its own way, but they served as a collective to remind us that September footy really is the best.
To come over here, no one probably gave us too much of a chance, which we somewhat love, but yeah, really proud of the group right now.
Well, for 3 quarters of the way, get it done in finals footy.
I just want to keep a bit of a lid on it.
They were really ready tonight to go. I thought we were, but they were much better than us.
Yeah, it's devastating.
We were 1-8 previously, now we're 1-6 chance of winning. Something pretty special.
That was a great win. I'm really proud of all the lads and how they went about it.
Finals are about moments. They took more moments than we did.
Over our coaching journeys, in particular in finals, there's some moments in big finals games that players get right.
Can you win it?
Yeah, I think we can, and the other 8 teams would be saying the same thing. It's small margins around now, and yeah, we'll give it our best shot.
Nick Dacos works the ball through for a brilliant goal. Jagoe has put it through. He's a miracle worker. They have been remorseless and relentless.
You know, we're just playing match play right now. Now we don't know who our next match play is against. But I know one thing, that next time we play, there's only 4 teams left.
Has Dempsey kicked that? Oh, that is fantasy football.
Hello, boys. Gone with the ball here. Geelong have turned the tables on the champs. They book all the advantages of September, and they force the Lions to go the long way round the mountain.
You can make a drama out of it. They've been in the last 7 final series and done some pretty good work in that time, so it's not always going to be a bed of roses.
It is so abrupt. The finish is so abrupt. I am nowhere near ready for the season to be over in 5 days' time.
And it's bye-bye to the Giants. The Hawks sneak it closer to goal. Taylor kicks it. Come on, Joel. Roll again.
The message is keep putting yourself in that position. Keep putting you in a position where you can fail on the big stage and be incredibly disappointed, but if you're not there, you'll never feel it.
I'm going to give you an exclusive here tonight, Gerard. The man will play. It's head versus heart, but the combination of circumstances is he deserves his spot.
But if you close your eyes... Swallow held! He's held Swallow! Had a big opportunity here. He'll get the free kick. Cox tackled him. He didn't have the ball. He's made 7 games for the bloody year, and he's going to get a crack to win the game. His first final. In his first ever final. He goes long! Swallow! Incredible! He fires! I reckon he's got it! He bloody well has! What an extraordinary finish to this game this has been. You wouldn't read about it. You wouldn't believe it.
Siren! The agony and the ecstasy of sport.
But if you it's been 15 years in the making. Do you believe in fairy tales? David Swallow, you are a hero.
There's no tougher challenge, I reckon, than coming across here in front of 60,000 fans, hostile environment, get headed with 2.5, 3 minutes to go, and then respond. So they'll gain enormous confidence, I think, out of that victory.
It was a game you could only see in September. What a moment! I've never seen anything like it. My goodness! What a kick! What a moment! What a moment!
How about that for 4 finals? So we need 2 great minds for it. Leigh Matthews, welcome to 360.
Thanks, Gerard Garry. Good to join you. I'm here a bit earlier so I can go to bed earlier. Is that the reason? I think there must be a reason.
That's why I'm here. How'd you go watching that, though? Well done to everyone to put that package together. But what a way to kick this final series.
Yeah, well, just the sharpness of winning and losing just comes more to the fore when you get into the knockout stage, which it is now for all 6 teams. But the agony and the ecstasy, as Dwayne said, it's very much that.
And you know, we throw cliches and we throw them around a bit at this time of year, but you know, the big one is, hey, finals is a whole different ball game. I reckon there's a couple of clubs who are sitting there tonight that perhaps had an experience and said, geez, you're damn right there is, including one over in South Australia who get a chance to redeem themselves. But that was at the next level. But they just didn't look ready for me. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah. Well, being ready, I mean, but we always get a recency bias. What happened last weekend is always such a big issue, but it has little to do with what's going to happen next weekend and even the weekend after that. I mean, each contest is 2.5, 3 hours in a little package, and it's who does it best in the 2 or 3 hours. That's what's going to win or lose from now on, and win, go on and survive, and lose, you're out.
So you could have had your head in the clouds after all that, but to ground us, this is something that both of you believe in. What do you like? What statistics, what measures do you like during a game in September?
Well, one thing I always keep track of is the ability to create marks inside the 50-metre arcs for yourself, both forward and back, and stop the opposition creating marks in forward and back. And that hit me on Thursday night, and you gave Darcy Moore your best player of the round. I mean, his ability to intercept mark in the back 50 for Collingwood just kind of seemed to set up the game, isn't it? I don't know quite how or why, because sometimes he was on his own. It was like the Crows players were kicking the ball to him, so they dominated that part of the ground. And this is where Mason Cox comes into it. He because he's so big, they can't mark against him. And OK, it's great if you're a forward and you can mark the ball, but if you haven't got forwards who are going to mark the ball a lot, make sure the opposition don't. So I think that really got borne out in the Thursday night game, and the Friday night game was a bit similar. The two qualifying finals were like the big margin, where Geelong kind of dominated the inside 50s, both forward and back. If you do that, pretty good. It's the end of the process. It's not the start of the process, but the ability to do that is always will be so critical to me.
Yeah, so Darcy Moore talking about Tom Stewart was unbelievable, and then the whole Hawthorn back six. But it's great you're here. So this is the coach. You and I have moaned about this for a long time. It would appear that the first thing that goes in ways of structure is the forward half. We're under pressure, therefore we will vacate our forward half. We'll get numbers around, and all of a sudden you lose your structure. And Darcy Moore, that's given up goals plenty in the last 6 weeks of footy, gets to play on his own. Is it a coaching thing, though? Is it a lack of respect for the forward?
You'd feel like you'd like to stop the game and say to the coaches, now, how are you trying to set this up?
Yes.
I don't think the Crows are trying to set up Darcy Moore being loose man in defence on his own. But somehow there's no individual forward who's been designated. Normally what you have to do is having one of your forwards make sure their main interceptor doesn't stand by himself. You've got to get someone onto him. Even if it's a smaller bloke, it doesn't matter. You can't let them be on their own. So I think we were all watching that game and asking the question because it was seen to be happening for a big chunk of the game, didn't it?
Oh,
the behind the goal vision was really instructive when you saw Darcy Moore virtually on his own in his half of the field.
Not only that, given that Darcy Moore had given up 6 goals to Patrick Voss in a game 5 or 6 weeks ago at the MCG. I know it's different, but on players and Logan Morris who hit up at the ball, that draw the footy, and Darcy's sitting in that room, Lee, I'm sure, he's sitting in the room before the game going, please, just don't leave me on my own. And lo and behold, he plays on his own and just stops Adelaide in their tracks. It was a staggering miss.
And the other thing that he did, he marked it, he didn't try and spoil.
Yeah.
Because the other thing you want from you to intercept markers, and Harris Andrews on Friday night, he mainly spoiled. Even though he had Shannon Neal under control, you'd need them to mark the ball, which is what Tom Stewart did and Darcy Moore did and Mason Cox stopped the Crows' defenders from doing.
All right, you're renowned as the most pragmatic man in football, but Saturday night was for the misty-eyed romantics. Gaz, could you believe from the moment that David Swallow was announced as being in the team here that it would conspire to deliver the defining moment of the game? The ball was on his boot at the end.
No, because if you write the script, you'd say, listen, that's too corny.
Too much.
You're overstretching here. No, Damien Hardwick announced it here, which took us both by surprise when he said he was going to play, and then all week we lived it through his eyes. Every single Gold Coast Suns player that talks about David Swallow does it with a reverence. So his standing in the club is unsurpassed. And then we just got off the plane when this happened, and the Hawthorn boys were sitting around watching it, and this cheer went up when he slotted it through. So, no, I thought it was an overreach by the script writers, but it was superb in the end.
It was amazing, Lee, wasn't it?
No, it was. I mean, that he's been one of the very long-standing Suns players. I always think, it's interesting because I don't know how much he deserved his place in the team on form, and you'd say the same about Nat Fyfe. But using them as subs, I mean, I know we're about to get rid of the sub. I reckon the sub's got a really good function in our game, and one of them is for your veteran players, they're good subs.
Damien alluded to the injection of emotion that he lived through this because they took on Port Adelaide, and Port Adelaide beat them through his Travis Boak eyes. I reckon it sort of planted a seed for him in the back of his mind and said, well, there is an emotional uplift in all this. And then we see scenes like this, which, we'll talk about what it means for footy up there in Queensland and particularly on the Gold Coast. It's stunning. It was a stunning result.
There were 2 possibilities with the Suns, either satisfied to get there, we finally made the breakthrough, or built for finals. And it turns out they're built for finals.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to be satisfied. I mean, those 2 young blokes in the middle, Rail and Anderson, I mean, the fact that they were the first and second choice in the draft and they stayed. They're good players, great characters, and they stayed. Only 24-year-olds. I mean, that's a terrific core to build your club on.
philosophically, they got those two. I know they and then you got Sarong and Brayshaw were outstanding as well. To be able to shut down Anderson and Rao goes a long way to shutting down the Gold Coast, more so even than the other two. And you see what Geelong are able to do with their Irish wolfhounds who can go after anyone at any time.
Is it because Geelong haven't got really elite 3 or 4 centre square players? Atkins is their anchor point, so they can use other players and use a couple of... But training up a couple of close checking one-on-oneers like Geelong have done, I mean, I don't think most clubs haven't got that. They either haven't trained it or they just... It's not part of their list.
Coaches have been telling us for years that it throws our system out. You can't play it because it upsets the way we want to play.
Even coaches get fascinated by their system, as if my system will always beat their system.
That's what I love about Lethal.
The Brisbane Lions, what risk is there that all the adversity that they have stared down and I think heroically come through is about to crush them? Are they at tipping point?
Well, I think they probably are at tipping point, but it doesn't mean they can't still play well. I mean, Hipwood's been out for a while and Lachie Neale didn't play for a few weeks and they had really good wins against Freo in Perth and Collingwood and Hawthorn at the Gabba. So they've still played well without the couple of players that are now going to be out of the campaign. But you always want your best 23 on your list is what you'd like to field, and certainly the Lions, probably if you took the grand final team last year, there's 5 or 6 missing from that grand final team last year. So a lot of load on the next generation players, because you can have 1 or 2 really young guys, but if you have 4 or 5, doesn't matter how good the other 18 or 20 are, it's really hard to cope. So the Lions are in that sort of in that margins.
We looked for signs early in games and there was a clear sign, wasn't there?
So they'd won the last 3, Brisbane against Geelong, in a similar pattern. So they'd kicked 36 points from the back half, 52 points from the back half and 59. So you're going... Gee, their ball movement from the back half's been superb. Chris Scott's one of the smartest coaches in the competition. So this is what happened at a time when I went, this is the first time they really started to look to try and get this game going. And Zorko gets involved twice. This is before a score's kicked, and bang, Stengel's on it, goes back the other way, Jeremy Cameron mark and goal. And the pattern was established for the rest of the night. We know you want to do this. We know you're going to take the game on through the middle, and we're awake to it, and we're alert to it, and we're switched on. And the amount of the smothering in that first half, the 50 tackles in the first half, it just... And to Brisbane's eternal credit, Lee, they didn't get spooked. They just kept going, which is, that's the way they're going to play. And if you can beat us, good luck. Well, Geelong beat you, and beat you really well. So what we watch now is the learnings, and Gold Coast will go to school on it, because I'm pretty sure they ain't changing. And Geelong was superb.
No, they weren't. No, those 3 or 4 intercepts in the centre square when you try to bring the ball back inside, that's enough for the team. We've got to be really careful from now on. But Geelong kind of smothered the contest. They just got a lot of bodies around the contest. The hit-outs didn't matter at all because there was going to be about 24 players within 10 metres of the ball, and that's led by probably Tom Atkins. But the ability to smother the Lions, and the Lions therefore couldn't run. When they kicked the ball long and high in the air, well, the Geelong defence just dominated.
Is the Lachie Neale injury one too many for you?
Feels like it. It does feel like it. But I'm still giving them a massive chance against the Gold Coast Suns. I'm talking ultimate success here. I'm talking premierships. They're still very much alive this weekend. It'll be outstanding. But we watched this at the time, and there was half your heart in your mouth and suggestion from our boys on the boundaries that is it cramp, but you just knew by the way he looked at it. So you're not getting over a calf in 4 weeks, so that season done. And it does just feel a bit like that.
And the Q clash, Lee, in a final series. So we've had 4 Sydney derbies, peculiarly, 1 showdown, never had a Western Derby. Is this the biggest night of footy in Queensland?
Well, it'll be gigantic for Queensland. You've got to remember, it's a bit like the southeast Queensland, but there's Brisbane and the Gold Coast are kind of an hour apart. The Gold Coast Bulletin would be full of Gold Coast stuff. I'll be interested to see whether the Courier Mail, the daily paper in Brisbane, normally... You don't get much AFL on that. Might be on the back page this week. Who knows?
To be, doesn't it?
But it should be. I mean, it's the 2 South East Queensland teams being in the finals for your first same time together and playing each other. Yeah, that's a huge contest.
All right, the 2 teams that were eliminated, the Giants, and this is your long suit, just the dysfunction in their forward line early.
Yeah, they absolutely dominated field position. They had 40 inside 50s by half-time, and you talk about connecting with your forwards. They took 3 marks from those 40 inside 50s. We're talking Cadman, talking Hogan, Stringer. And this stuff, I was with Jonathan Brown and Dermot Brereton, I suppose we all look at it through the same lens. They just ran back to goal. They just showed the ball kicker their back the whole way. Not one player decided to turn around and hit up at the kicker for the easiest kick in footy. Watch this, Lee. Have a look at the numbers here and look at how every single one of them is going back to goal. Every one of them is heading back. There's a dirty, great big hole there to come into. And then what happens? In the end, the players with the ball go, well, no one's coming at me. So what's my options here? So again, they had that many looks early in this game coming through the middle, and to Hawthorn's credit, they stood up. But they just kept coming back to goal, coming back to goal, coming back to goal, and they weren't getting separation. If they were getting separation, you might think about it. And then what happens as a result of this? Eventually, the penny will drop and a player will go, oh, I'm going to hit up. And they did it a bit more in the second half. So look at that. That's the easiest kick you'll ever get in footy. But by this stage, the blokes with the ball are going, well, you're not hitting up at me all day, so I'm not kicking there. And they just handed the footy back. It was as dysfunctional a forward group as you'd like to see, and that's taking nothing away from Hawthorn's defence, who were just simply brilliant from the opening bounce. But this, if you wanted to get an easy kick, you could have got an easy kick in that forward half if you were prepared to turn around and come back up at the ball.
You're so used forwards these days because of the way the game's played of running back towards goal. It's as if they're not used to leading at the kicker, and it's almost a foreign thing to do. But as you pointed out, I mean, one of those three coming back has to be prepared to come back.
72 they had inside 50s for the game. It's just the equal most ever in a losing final.
So the picture of the Giants now, who are regressing year on year, so close in a preliminary final against Collingwood. They blew their two big leads last year, as is well documented. They come from 42 points down to hit the front in a preliminary final. So they've now lost the full set of finals, a preliminary final, qualifying final, semi-final and elimination final. They're getting further away. It feels like they should be getting closer. What's your read on that?
Yeah, they play so well on their day that you kind of... But they don't do it often enough. They've been too up and down, and that's been pretty normal over the last few years. And so they get themselves into a position. And last year, I mean, we'll always remember that game. They were 44 points in front of the Lions and still lost that game. So that's not going to happen all that often. But they don't seem to be on the up. They just seem to be stuck in that around the mark. And they think they're still around the mark.
I think there's a chance for them. So I went back and had a look at Richmond under Hardwick. Yep. So they went 7th, 8th, 7th, 13th, which is a bit, you know, he's going 4th, 5th, 8th, going a bit the same way. Then they went 1st, 3rd, 1st, 1st. And Hawthorn were a bit the same. Fags, 18, 15, 5-4, 5-4, just hanging around, 2-1, breakthrough. The Dockers under Longmire a bit the same, 12, 11, 16, 14, 10, now they're coming back. I think there's still a chance for them. And Adam Kingsley said it, just keep putting yourself back into that spot and believe.
Freo, so there's no doubt it's an opportunity lost. Now, 1 point results in finals are cruel, so you don't want to extrapolate too much. And they do have a young profile, as they're just opening up now. But that was an opportunity loss.
It was. I'm still bullish on them, and it might be to my detriment in the long term. But I think a bit like what I'm talking about with these other players, you just got to keep putting yourself back in there. And I think they've got enough pieces of this puzzle, Lee, to contend again, learn, contend. They need to add that defensive mid to that group so that those two boys can continue to get to work, but also be able to lock down one of either Rowell or Anderson. Yeah. That's maybe a Windhager, but, you know, that's the sort of thing they're looking at. But I'm still bullish. What about you?
No, I think they're still potentially on the up. But I never thought they were likely to go all the way this year myself. It just never hit me that they would. I thought the Suns were magnificent. Yeah, they were. Like, for most of the game. I mean, they dropped away and obviously Freo could have come over the top of them, but I thought for much of the game they really took it over there, and Freo couldn't quite cope with that, as the Lions could against Geelong, not do against Geelong on Friday night. Sometimes the opposition can have a really good game, and they got beaten by a point. That's a wafer-thin margin in reason why you won or reason why you lost. But no, again, they're a bit like the Giants. They're round the mark, but I never felt they were likely to be the two or three sides most likely to go all the way.
How are you on them?
They're just starting out. It was really only that they declared now was winning time. Yeah. They're making their progress. But at home, 57,000, a team that had never seen finals, you've got to win that game. Yeah. And they got outplayed, I agree. They got outplayed for most of it. Did Adelaide get stage fright?
Oh, stage fright's a strange thing. I mean, Collingwood jumped into the game better. And I guess you'd say, why is that? I mean, this is the Physically, you don't change much from week to week. Your knowledge doesn't change much from week to week, but your emotional state is changing all the time. And that's what happens with footballers and football teams. So in the emotional state, they didn't seem to have it at the start of the game. Like when the game had to be won and that real contest, it was Collingwood who looked like they were just at the game harder. So whether that's stage fright, I don't know, honestly, the reason. But I would have thought you'd say the Crows didn't play well. I mean, they got beaten by fair margin, like 3-6 is a fair margin. But they didn't play the tempo, that's for sure.
So Collingwood I thought the 23 Collingwood players went in with a finals-like mentality that this is play for our lifetime. That's what no one knows it better than this. Is you do what it's the Maynard mentality. He carries it, and I reckon 22 others went with him. I reckon there were 4 for Adelaide. I don't reckon there were anywhere near enough Adelaide players that had a play for my life, most important thing I've ever done ever mentality. Now, first time playing finals for a lot of them. They will walk back going, well, this is why next week is so interesting for me on Friday night, is what do you learn? I reckon Matthew Nicks missed his mark. I don't think he coached in the manner. I don't think he was anywhere near the coach that he was, allowing the Moore thing to unfold in the manner that it did. I thought they were deferential. That is, they deferred to Collingwood. Oh, you blokes look like you're a bit hungrier than us, so we'll sit back. And I thought they were way too passive as a football club. And that is a... They're strong words and they're not meant to be derogatory, but that is what it looked like to most people, I reckon. So now it's over to you, Matthew Nicks in Adelaide, and let's see if you can... And then Leigh, I guess the next thing is you can wind them back up here and throw all this at their feet. You've got to get the level right on Friday. You can't tip over the other way.
Well, that's true. I mean, but the circumstances would create there's going to be a rebound. I mean, most of the time when a qualifying final is lost, the winners bounce back off that and usually rebound pretty well for a whole lot of these set of circumstances that if you could put your finger on exactly the why, it wouldn't be so irregular.
You remember, I know we're going to keep going. Phil Thorpe, who I don't think he's scared. He's never said to me that he's a scared player, but he deferred. He didn't go. This is not the time where you go, oh no, well I might let someone else have a go at it. This is your time where you go, I'm the man. This is the finals, cutthroat, I'll be the one. That's what I want to see from them on Friday night, because Hawthorn will bring that mentality.
So the umpiring is Razor's Edge will do a big project on this tomorrow night. So there's the singular moments, which we sheet home too much to one man, I think, and then there's the systematic side of it. As this was unfolding, you're sitting in the stands as just the tumult spreads. What are we looking at here?
Well, it is credible. I was sitting in the stands, and when you're at the football and you're not getting the replays, I mean, obviously, I can't recall ever being at a game where the ball has gone, from one end to the other end for a free kick. And now, if it's a free kick, well, clearly that is supposed to happen. And I thought to myself, I hope it was a big free kick, not a little wishy-washy one. Hope it was a big one, because this is a big furor, the second one got them the 2 goals. But, that's a little free kick, isn't it? I mean, the one thing I would say, when 2 players are 100 metres from the ball, the contact should be almost none. Like, it's not like you're 10 metres from the ball and you're pushing and shoving each other. No, so there's no doubt that Cameron exaggerated the contact, and the contact was very little. But at the same time, there should be no contact.
You say from a defender's point of view?
From anybody's point of view. In other words, any player who's creating a contact like that, you could say that was a push in the back, if nothing else. All I'm saying is there should be no contact 100 metres from the ball, should there, in principle? Like, when you're around the contest, you're pushing and shoving, but it is usually... I watched a reserves game yesterday in the morning of Peninsula League, and there's 2 young umpires. Players were going down all over the place.
Is that a free kick, that one?
They were just saying, get up.
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, that's what I got a feeling. It was a free kick. You can't shove the bloke, again, 50 metres from the ball. But nevertheless, Gerard, at the game, when you didn't have the replay, it was like a terrible, weird atmosphere, because you didn't know what exactly is going on here. So, when you get into the big picture of it, well, I guess if the umpire thinks it's a free kick, he's got to pay it. Now, I hate the fact the AFL have thrown their umpire under the bus. Like, OK, it was probably a bad decision, but you don't have to say it too categorically. They employ the umpires. It's like a coach and his team. The AFL's team of officiators is the umpires. Treat them with respect and don't throw them under the bus.
What should they have said then? Because if they don't give that answer...
I think said it was a very contentious decision, and the umpire at the time chose to give it.
Would that satisfy the missus?
No, that's not the point.
He's back
You've got to look after your umpires and every other umpire out in the suburbs that needs to be supported by the people who employ them.
Lee, it's been great to have you here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Take over the umpiring next time.
Leigh Matthews on AFL 360, our modern-day coaches who experienced the absolute euphoria of all of it. Damien Hardwick over in the West and Sam Mitchell in Sydney. They are both with us next as they eye up their semi-final assignments.
Smooth Moves, brought to you by Jamison Whiskey.
They were elimination finals for the ages. The smooth-moving Marbior Chol sealed the deal in Sydney for the Hawks with his classy finish, a classic finish. And then over in the West, a beautiful moment that will live long in the folklore of the game. The original Sun booting Gold Coast to a semi-final. It had a little bit of arc intervention. Thankfully, no damage done, or I can't imagine the state we would have found Damien Hardwick in tonight. Given the history of these things, our privileged access throughout the finals with our coaches continues, and thanks to video messaging platform Swish, Damien Hardwick is with us up on the Gold Coast. Dimmer, welcome back.
Good evening, gents. Mitch, how we going?
Sam Mitchell, hello.
Very well. How are we all?
So just before we get into the nitty-gritty, indulge us for a moment. Just the adrenaline rush, the euphoria, how did it manifest for you at the end, Sam?
We had a little bit of a lead, and it wasn't quite celebrate time until Marbs kicked the goal, and we all looked up at the clock, and we get 17 seconds to actually enjoy this, and I felt like I would have liked a bit longer, but then I watched their game, and Dimmer had even less time than that.
How does it get you still after all these years, Dimmer?
Yeah, Dimmer, we had 9 seconds, and then they were deciding whether or not to, with the centre bounce, how we defend that. And then all of a sudden it went to a kick-in pretty quickly, which was, funnily enough, it was a better result for us in the end of the day. So it was well played by David just to allow that ball to snick a finger on the way through.
Does it stir emotions in you?
Yeah, it does, absolutely. You're talking about Dave or just the win in general?
Whatever you like.
Yeah, the Dave one was... it was just a surreal moment, really. You're sort of sitting there and think, is this really happening? Because probably about 2.5 minutes prior to that, he had a bit of an error that he sort of cost us a goal going the other way, but he got to pay us back tenfold, really. But look, there's no better feeling, I think, when you walk into the rooms at the end and the players are celebrating with their families and our staff. And as we sort of spoke about last week, finals are incredibly tough, first and foremost, but elimination finals are just so cutthroat. So to win it as we did was really, really special, and have a fair amount of support over there too, which was quite good.
I spoke to the boys that were in those rooms. I heard them talk about the fact that that atmosphere you talked about. They said it sounds a bit hokey, but it was like the birth of the football club. Like they really, footy club had arrived. You had a moment with David where you handed the footy over as well. Matty Rail's mum, the whole thing. It felt like a real football club.
Yeah, it did. It was special because people have worked incredibly hard. Gold Coast have, as I sort of said, not been the butt of jokes, but we've been stomped on, we've been put down, and I think we, finally, for a lot of people that put in the hard work for 15 years, it's sort of like we've arrived. And we're only starting our journey. Really, we understand that. And we know we're not the finished product, but what we are is more importantly leaning into the place we're in at the moment. We're really excited to head up into the Q Clash Saturday night and give it our best shot, and hopefully get a few more Gold Coast Sun supporters up there as well, which will be a positive for us.
Did Matt go forward off his own accord, or did you send him down? I think he's starting to claim it as time goes on. I think he's starting to claim it as his own.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, remember the Adam Hunter secret move that West Coast used to have? All of a sudden it charged forward. Mac's a little bit the same. So we had to hold him back. But it's sort of when Tracy went forward, I think he went forward with about 3.5 minutes to go. We thought we'd normally go into some different sort of win game, but we thought it was a little bit long. So we pushed him forward, which was great. So I think Josh Drummond sort of, suggested, and we have our what ifs, obviously, and that's always one about when we do push him forward. But You didn't need much encouragement to run down there. I'll give you the tip.
Sam, you sat here last week, so you just weren't ready for it to be over, and so it's not, and you have to go through a lot to get there. As you've sort of absorbed it all, where's your mind gone as to the how you were able to do it?
I think we'd been there before, so one of the... I thought if you'd sort of do your, it's easy to do a post-mortem, but we sort of do a pre-mortem on the game, and if it was going to go badly, what would happen? And every game we've played against the Giants has been close, and being able to handle that close game moment, and we've had three games this year that we've lost from similar positions interstate, so we didn't shy away from it. I think even James Sicily brought it up in his pre-game to the boys I read today. So. We had embraced those moments and those losses, and to know, OK, we've been here before, we've given up a lead, but we're actually still in front going into three-quarter time. And they kicked a goal with about 10 seconds into the last quarter, which tested the resolve, but I was wrapped for the players that they lent on each other and stood up.
There was this irrepressible moment when Josh Kelly said, well, get on my back. We can't kick goals conventionally, we'll kick them all from stoppage. And so you're sitting there watching it unfold, three-quarter time comes around, I suspect you take a deep breath and then you give up the first goal from another stoppage. What's going through your mind at that stage?
We knew we had to score to win. I think sometimes when you get into these moments, and what we had a bit of a tendency to do is try and save the game, and we're a reasonably attacking and flary team, so we're not particularly good at shutting a game down and slowing things down. There's some other teams that are really good at that, really skilled at it, have been doing it for a long time. We don't have that in our kit bag as well as some others, so just keep going at it, just keep going fast, keep trying to create scoring opportunities, and hopefully you can run them off their legs a little bit. And the work rate of the game went for like 140 minutes the game, so it was a game that we knew we had to stay in it right to the end. And fortunately, even Marbs' his last tackle, he put so much speed into that that you're in a good spot.
So you lived eerily similar games, Stimmer. When Jackson took the huge mark at the top of the square, there's 57,000 in purple. What did you feel? Did you feel like you'd fired your best shot, or did you think, OK, we're about to be really tested the resolve here?
Yeah, well, it was sort of good it went back to centre bounce, because centre bounce, once again, is something we're relatively strong at. But it was a hell of a mark by Jackson, to be honest. It was, Mac had a good fist on it, and I think Bodie Ulam was thereabouts as well. So it was just one of those moments that he played particularly well. And look, the next centre bounce was going to be crucial, and getting the ball forward from that, and obviously getting our structure right as well. So, there's a lot of things. It's funny, in the last 2.5 minutes of the game, people often look at it and think what's going on, but the conversation piece is in the coach's box. It's in overdrive at that stage, and you feel like you just coached a quarter in the last 2.5 minutes. But the guys, to their credit, Noah and his leadership team did a hell of a job getting things organised, because the runner can't go on the ground the last 2 minutes. So you really do hand it over to your leadership group, and they did a terrific job.
This might sound a stupid question. How have they handled the win? How have you looked at it? How have they travelled back? How do you think? Because our question to you last Monday was, how do you say that this is not enough, just making the finals after 15 years? And now it's the same thing. How do you get them back and say one win's not enough when the rest of us are all sitting there going, that's just extraordinary?
No, it's a good thing. We spoke to the players. Obviously, a lot of our families are over, so we wanted to enjoy the win. They're hard to do in finals, as we've spoken about, or in AFL in general. But then the next day, obviously, we stayed the night in Perth and got our flight back, and we just spoke about, be where your feet are. All we can do now is focus on our next shift mentality, which is the Brisbane Lions, and prepare for them. And, obviously it was a player's day off today, so coaches got to work and are working on how we'll bring about the downfall of the Lions. And, the great thing about the Lions sort of thing is they play a style of game that is incredibly structured, but incredibly good. They're well coached, they're well drilled. They're very predictable in how they play, but they're just so good at what they do. Look, obviously Geelong had a template that, helped them beat them on the weekend, but it's going to be a hell of a challenge for us up there at the Gabba.
Cal Shadir, what did the scan show today?
Yeah, not not great, so he will be unavailable this week, and the medical guys sort of say come grand final you could have a difficult discussion, but certainly won't be available this week, so most of the focus goes into Friday night for us. So Kerrish will not be able to help us on field, but he'll still be part of what we're doing and preparation and making sure that he can help us with his off field.
So the VFL becomes important. That was thrilling in its own right.
Yeah.
So Mitch Lewis did, I guess, what you would have hoped he would?
Yeah, so they had a shot as the siren went to stay alive. So that was a fantastic performance. We had a great day. The AFLW won as well, so we had a 3 from 3 day. So Mitch played really well, kicked 4, and had a fair bit of impact on the game. So we'll have some discussions the next couple of days on selection, and it takes a squad. It's very rare that anyone goes in unchanged through all their finals, and that'll be one forced at least.
Takes a big squad, big supporter base. Prime Minister's there with you, slapping your back, giving you some tips. How was Big Elbow after the game?
I actually didn't realise he was there, and I thought, oh, wow, the AFL's really upped the security. There was all this security, and they were very well dressed and very intimidating-looking characters. I'm thinking, oh, they're really looking after us here. And then I saw Elbow there, and I thought, oh, that makes a fair bit of sense. But he's come along to a few games now, and Hawks fan, and he had his son there who was getting selfies and photos with the players, and good to have high-profile support.
It is. Has he got a favourite?
I have asked him a couple of times. He won't give it away. I feel like he likes the Rascal Pack. I think he likes Wizard and Ginnivan.
Get him a Wizard hat. See if you wear that.
McDonald, all those boys.
Sam Mitchell and Damien Hardwick, they've won their elimination finals. We'll cast an eye toward the semis with them next. And in a few minutes' time, on the couch, the big opinions as to how it all happened in the first week of finals. Jack and the crew. These are semis that have had the full set in the build-up, so 2 meetings between each of these pairs. The Lions won the first Q clash, and that freezing night in Launceston, the Hawks late over the Crows. Then coming back through, Gold Coast exacted revenge on Big Brother with a thumping 11-goal win at People's First, which left a big impression. And then in round 21, it's in the best 3 games of the season, this. They'll come together again. Adelaide prevailed at Adelaide Oval. We're going to get it again on Friday night. So peculiar and excellent. So much recent data to work with. Sam, what does that mean for you as you go about preparing for a foe who's pretty familiar?
We've played them twice this year, and both, different sorts of games. One obviously was freezing cold, and then we didn't handle the Adelaide. I think both teams have played pretty well against each other. We'll look at those, but you also look at the recent form, and I think the Oppo scouting is a little bit easier this week because we played them not too long ago, and they finished on top of the ladder, won more games than anyone. So we're going to have to be at our best.
That was the 5 goals to 1 game at quarter time. Will Day was going nuts until he hurt himself.
Yeah. So Will was great early, and I think we were in front at 3/4 time, and they just got us at the end. But they were very, very good. I think we handled the last quarter not too bad, but just not. We just couldn't go with them right at the end.
Dimmer, good to have plenty of recent form to work with.
Yeah, it is. I think it's one good thing about what finals is like. You've sort of got most of your prep and all that organised. You're just ticking things off that they're doing them the same. So look, obviously we've done a fair bit of work on this side over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully it plays dividends come Saturday night.
Is the pink polo a sign of what you'll be wearing on Saturday night?
Yes, we are. We're donning the pink, which is great. So it's a beautiful jumper, and one our fans love as well. So look, we'll wear that, and hopefully our fans can wear pink to the game as well. I think it's a sellout again, which is enormous for Queensland footy, and we'll have hopefully in excess of 10,000 fans there as well, which is a real positive for our footy club. It shows that we're growing, and more importantly, people want to come and watch us play, which is exciting.
How big is it for the state, do you sense?
Oh, I think it's enormous. Like, we're sort of. It's probably, Brisbane is a side that has consistently made finals and won premierships, and now there's a side that is, has come from a low base, but has started to build into something that I think can be pretty special. And it's probably the first time we're going to meet on the bigger of big stages, if that makes sense. So, all the other expansion teams and rivalries have met, and we haven't met in finals. So this will be our first occasion, and hopefully we do it justice and do it proud, and look forward to the state of Queensland getting behind both teams.
focus of the entire AFL footy world on Queensland, on 2 Queensland teams. I think it's awesome. What about umpiring here? Freeze off the footy. What's your flinch reaction?
I say the same thing every time. I'll worry about our players made plenty of clangers on the weekend, and I'll be pretty focused on fixing up those ones.
You try Dimmer, he's more likely to bite.
Flopping a problem, Dimmer, in our game?
I knew.
No, they're doing a good job.
What about the flopping side of things? Do we have Is there a worry that if we pay too many of these off the ball, it does give players a licence to try their luck?
Oh, look, I think there's always going to be a 20% with that. We probably saw a few too many lately. You know, our Mac Andrews sort of had one against him a couple of weeks ago. And I think the umpires are pretty good at telling players to get up. They've got a really good understanding. Their job's really, really hard. So, you know, we'd sort of implore our players as best we can, boys, just stand up and play the game. You know, we don't want to bring the game about, you know, down with those sort of free kicks. It's challenging, we understand, and it's a volatile environment, but the umpire's job's hard enough as it is. So, you know, if we can stand up, and it'll be good.
Will you talk to your players about that?
No.
Fair enough. Short and sharp, yeah.
You can't ask for more than that.
Cards close to the chest on my left. You want to ask Dimmer? You have another crack over?
No, that's fine. Hey, Sam Edmonds reporting tonight that Greg Swan's determined to bring in the last disposal out of bounds rule next year, which I don't think would be a surprise to either of you. Do you have a view on, are you a yes or a no?
Oh, my first instinct is no, I think. But I'm not sure how much it'll change. So I don't know if that's going to get rid of 10 throw-ins a game or 1 or 2. So the thing I think I love about our game is that you can be, you know, the wizard and be 5'2", or you can be, you know, Ned Reeves and be 7 foot. And I think keeping both body shapes and all the body shapes in between in the game is really important. So I think it's important that they keep ruckman in the game, and we want all those really tall lads to be still playing our game going forward.
What do you think, Dimmer?
Yeah, probably the same as Mitch. It's a good point that Mitch made, and probably on the data that we were given by the AFL, we think there might be around 4 or 5 a game, which does seem quite low. But you know, obviously they've got the data to back that up. So as long as it's not a significant change into the way the game looks, I think I can live with it. But I'm probably a little bit with Mitch. I don't think the game needs that drastic a change, but you know, proof will be in the pudding.
All right. I think we have an offer. You win, you stay on. It's like pool. Win again, Dimmer. We'll have you back next Monday.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
You'll be over the moon if you're back here next Monday.
Good luck. We'll see you Saturday night. Sam, see you Friday night. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I hope to see you next week.
In a short week, we really appreciate it. Sam Mitchell and Damien Hardwick with us. Coaches Night on 360. Big project tomorrow night for Razor's Edge. Not only what happened, but how did we get here and how do we get out of it from here? So Ray Chamberlain, special edition of Razor's Edge, timely to come together tomorrow night.
NAB Goal of the Year nominees.
These are our finalists, Gaz, to choose between Will Ashcroft's with the amazing bumper.
It's a modern day version.
Sam, yes, he's won it once before, Will.
Imaginative.
Sam Flanders. Worked the angles there. It was pretty amazing.
Clever. I'm not sure if it's getting my vote. Liked it. Clever, though. What's the last one?
Well, it's Noah Anderson, so you roll in the moment, game on the line, and the action. If you take this as a whole package, this is a pretty fine goal.
Match winner? Game winner?
Yeah.
That's going to take some tossing.
The
first one was audacious. That might take some tossing.
The winner of the 2025 NAB Goal of the Year walks away with $50,000. NAB will donate a further $10,000 to the Community Footy Club that they represent. Noah's the Hawthorn Citizens, Will is the St Kilda City Junior Football Club, and Sam is Fish Creek. So it's all up for grabs there. Good on you, Gaz.
Great night.
Dwayno's going to be here tomorrow night.
Hi.
Something a little special.